So great to be here. I just want to thank James for giving me this opportunity because I get to stand up here and just drink you in. Billy, hi, I see you. And David, also LUTs. I'm just going to probably just tear up and, oh my goodness. Wow.
We love tears.
I love you all so much. You know, I spent over 20 years in this church, serving and showing up and loving all of you so much. And I really appreciate being here. I'm here because someone who also is a longtime part of this community, Stephanie Doolin, who grew up in the YOU, is stand up. She and her beautiful now wife, Christy, asked me to come down and to officiate their marriage, which happened last night. And so, yeah. So that was a beautiful and joyful, you might know Glenna Witherspoon, that's Stephanie's mom. So when I told James, I said, I'm gonna be down there, so if it works out, you know, I could speak if you'd like. And so he made that happen, and so thank you, James, for allowing me to be here. And so because I love you so much, I brought you a gift today. I don't have the clicker. I don't know which one. Just, yeah, the PowerPoint one. Yes, the PowerPoint one. That's the one I want, right? Anyway, I want to tell you about my gift that I brought to you today. You've had an opportunity to enjoy this gift in the past when I was here before. And so I wanted to bring Rajneesh. I have his paper, but I don't need to read this. I know Rajneesh very well. Rajneesh Gupta is a volunteer and a senior teacher with the Art of Living. I just picked that one. Is that the one that works? Yes, there he is. He's also an executive. He's like a global VP at Intuit, and he teaches Art of Living courses, and he even teaches them in the corporate world, which of course we all need. If you have any exposure to the corporate world, you know, people need peaceful experiences to bring into that environment. So Rajneesh has agreed to come in and lead the meditation today. So Rajneesh, if you will come up and we can grab you a chair, and he's going to lead us in a beautiful meditation.
Thanks, Beverly. It's always a pleasure being here. We'll do a short meditation today. So let's close our eyes. See if you can put both your feet flat on the floor. Your body is relaxed, but your spine is straight. And see if you can keep your body still for the next few moments while we meditate. Notice how the breath is moving in and out while your body is still. Take a deep breath in and let go. Now take your attention to the base of your spine. This is the point from where inertia and enthusiasm grows in your body. Now take your attention to the top of your head. This is the point where we experience all the bliss, all the joy in our life. Now, as you breathe in, take the attention to the top of your head. And as you breathe out, let your attention gently flow to the base of your spine. Breathing in, top of the head. Breathe out, base of the spine. Do this on your own at your own pace. If there are any thoughts, do not resist them. Let them be. Just keep moving your attention with your breath. Breathing in, top of the head. Breathing out, base of the spine. Now let go all your efforts. Let the mind simply relax. I am nothing. I do nothing. And at this moment, I want nothing. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let there be peace within me and outside me. The peace within me creates peace outside of me. Deep breath in and let go. And gently at your own pace, there's no rush. When you feel complete, you may open your eyes. How was the meditation? Yeah, good. Yeah. Thank you very much. We have a very big meditation event coming up this Thursday. The biggest name in meditation, Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, the founder of Art of Living Foundation, he's going to be in Dallas. And on Thursday, we're doing a public event in the Irving Convention Center. So it's my pleasure, really, to invite all of you. We have a few volunteers here. We would be standing outside, helping you with information or flyers if you'd like to carry. It would be our pleasure if all of you can join the public event. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
When was the last time you got applause for a meditation? When was the last time you have received applause for meditation? Nice, huh? We like to clap in unity, don't we? We enjoy that. excitement of everything, really. Am I making noise? Okay, so who, what, where? Where's that thing, God? God's such a loaded word, right? I mean, a lot of people are really put off by the word God. They're really confused by the word God. It's kind of loaded, like a lot of words. We hear a lot of people commenting these days about triggers. You know, that's my trigger word, my trigger experience. But in unity, of course, I'm going to go back to the 5 basic principles, right? I see Anne was like, yeah, of course, she's doing 5 basic principles. But I want to remind you, Carla reminded me last night because she was at the wedding, that God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. I've helped you chant that so many times because when people say, what's that unity all about? People have all kinds of preconceived notions, and some people think that we don't even believe in God. They think we're all kinds of, they just make up stuff. So, God is everywhere present. God is everything. There's no place, there's no thing, there's no moment in time that is not of God, from God, or an experience of God, no matter what it looks like. I am, God is, I am. I'm an expression of God, you're an expression of God. Everything you see and experience is an expression of God. Prayer and meditation. God is, I am, I think, therefore I create. Our thoughts are creative. Sri Ravi Shankar says, intention, attention, manifestation, right? We put our thoughts out there and we create our experiences in life. And sometimes if our life doesn't look like the way we want, we don't want to take credit for that. We don't want to know. I've spoken in churches before and they were like, it's like you're blaming us for our problems. It's like, no, I'm empowering you to know that it is the way it is, and you can change it. You can have it however you want it. Isn't that right? You can have it any way you want it. Bo knows that. He's a very creative person. God is, I am, I think, I pray. Unity was founded on prayer. The 2 founders weren't trying to start something. They were just trying to teach people that prayer is powerful and you can change your life with prayer. They were putting out a newsletter and then people were like, hey, let's get together. Let's talk about this face to face. And suddenly it becomes a movement. Never intended to be churchy. That's why we call ourselves centers instead of churches. Because we're here to empower the individual by understanding the fact that God is everywhere and you're an expression of God and your thoughts create. And prayer and meditation, as we did, thank you, I felt very centered. Did you feel that? Very calm, peaceful place. Rajneesh took us. And that's where you can know. That's where you can know God. And of course, the last one is, I do. You can understand spiritual principle, you can share it all day long, but if you're not putting it into action in your life, what's the point? You must put truth into action. So let's do this together. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. One more time. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. You got it. Okay. That's the first 2 principles, and this is what I'm going to talk about today. God is and I am. So where the heck, who is that guy? Well, first of all, not a guy. Not a guy. Not a white guy. Not a gray-haired guy. Not sitting on a cloud. You all know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. What we want to do is think about God from a new perspective. And you remember Ellen Davenport, right? Yes? Yes, applause for Ellen Davenport. Have you read her book, The Five Principles, a few times maybe? Because she really puts it together well. And I want to share from her book, God is All, is the very first chapter. And she says, just as children may outgrow peanut butter and opt for spicy curries, we can assimilate more and different ideas about the universe and its workings as we evolve. Have you had experiences where, like, suddenly you get it? That happens in Unity because you come here and we're saying things a little bit differently than your traditional background, and we're expressing things very similarly to the way the Art of Living does, actually. It's a very good marriage of philosophies and sort of an ecumenical approach where we include, we say in Unity, we honor the many paths and the many names of God. We understand that, yes, we might have grown up with a certain tradition, but it's not the only tradition. And all of the traditions have a purpose. They have a meaning, and they offer something deeper than just that base level understanding. But she goes on in the same chapter and talks about God for grown-ups. She said, the idea that God is made in humans' image is usually leveled as a criticism. Because we don't want to anthropomorphize God. Because we talk about God's hands and God's this and God's that, because as human beings, that's our tendency. She said, but what else could God be? Our human minds cannot conceive of all that is. All that is. Can you take that in? And where does your mind land when you say all that is? Cannot encompass a universe of spiritual laws and dimensions that we only guess about. Our world religions are but a feeble attempt to describe our varied experiences of the unknown. Just gonna leave that there. So we have different experiences of what we call God. And sometimes it's hard to unlearn what it is that we believed God to be when we were growing up, right? When we had that image of, we know baby Jesus, and we know God was his father, but how did that happen? It's kind of like you just sort of accept it. Charles Fillmore said, the one and only omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent spirit. This is in our statement of faith. But what does that mean? Again, all that is, omniscient, omnipresent. Can you get your head around that? Where is it? Where is it? Where does it sit? Where does it stand? He, as Charles Fillmore, I have to say, Charles Fillmore often used the patriarchal language and referred to God in the he. But I like that, a lot of the young people now, they choose the nomenclature of they. I'm not a he, I'm not a she, I'm a they. I think that is how we need to expand this reference to God, because God is they, because God is everything, everywhere, every moment, every experience. Again, whether you like it or not. Omni means combining from. You know how we say we pray from the consciousness of Christ. We pray knowing it is done. It's from that truth that's living in all of us. An expression of God is still even limiting, right? So I've always been sort of just struggling myself with what is that truth? We've got the language, we've got the words, we've got sentences to say, we've got a little chant, we can hold on our fingers, which helps because sometimes it's hard to explain what it is we're doing here at Unity. But what we're doing is we're empowering one another. We're beholding the divinity, and we're knowing our oneness. That's our purpose. We're all one, and I feel it this morning. Thank you so much for the love. It feels like I never left. It feels like I haven't been gone 4 years at all. To have you here and friends from Art of Living, it's a very, it is a God deal. It's a God experience. But again, what is it? What is it? Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, as Rajneesh was saying, is going to be here Thursday, and I was like, oh my gosh, could anything be better? I get to marry Stephanie, because Stephanie used to come to my office and hang out and actually be skipping school. I didn't know that at the time when I was on staff here for a couple of years. She and her friend Brandon. But I was so excited to be here, and I was so happy that it worked out that I could be with you. I would be here this morning even if I wasn't speaking. I'll be truthful with you about that. And then Sri Sri's here this week, because I've done so many courses with Art of Living, the Blessings course and the Silence courses. I even went to India to do 10-day silence in the ashram there, and went to the World Culture Festival in 2016, which was mind-blowing. But I want to tell you what my aha moment, that light bulb moment, this is not the one this is one of many, because we don't just have one, right? People talk about being woke. I know you young people, you're woke. But you're not just woke one time. You awaken to whatever you're able to conceive and ingest and experience, and then you're meant to live it, that fifth principle. And then you have another experience. So in 2015, I was seeing James Stone in his healing practice. And he said, hey, this guy, never heard of him before. My yoga teacher had actually referred me to James Stone. And then he says, this guy's going to be in town over the 4th of July weekend. Go to this event. And I'm like, well, I don't know what it's all about. I don't understand. He's like, well, it's, yoga and breath work and meditation. I'm like, oh, I like all that stuff. I'll go. And so it was, I can't even tell you, I need a whole other talk, and I did do a little talk one evening here. It was so powerful and moving. But we had an evening event like the one that's happening on Thursday, and you were able to write on a card and submit questions. And my question was to Sri Sri, why is self-love so difficult? And to my surprise, the moderator read my question. Now, he was sitting back on a stage like this, a beautiful settee with lovely fabrics and flowers everywhere. And when they read that question, why is self-love so difficult, he stood up. I got chills when I just said that. He stood up and he walked to the edge of the stage as if he was looking for me. And he said, self-love. You are love. And that moment came through me like a straight line wind in Texas. And it just cracked me open. And I went on a journey from there to expand my capacity to love, to understand what love is. See, that's another loaded word, just like God. Love. Some people get uncomfortable with it. Some people think it's only one thing, or it's another thing, or it just has to do with your children. It's just, we're so confused about what love even is. And I'm still learning. But that was one huge aha moment. And some of you might remember in 2016 when I bought 10,000 of those red rubber band, what do you call those little wristband things that said, I am love. And I gave you a little card in there that told you how to focus and to open your heart and to be the presence of love. And that began in this moment with Sri Sri. But there are other moments that have followed. And so you know Robert Judd, don't you? So Robert Judd is, I don't think he's here, but he is a estate attorney. And so I went to him to plan my will and all that sort of thing. And then we were doing an update, probably around that same time, 2015 or 14 or something. I need to get another one done, by the way. And he gave me a copy of the Tao Te Ching. Now, I've had other copies of it in my library, but this one is translated by Jonathan Starr, who knows the language that it was originally written in so well, and his translations are very clear and very simple. So I read this every morning with my morning reading and along with the Daily Word, which of course is published by Unity, and several other things that keep my mind moving in the right direction. But I want to share with you, because when we talk about Tao, it's not equating to God. It's a different expression of that which we label God. But it's not God. They say that which you name the Tao is no longer the Tao. Because when we start labeling things and naming things and describing them, we shrink them down to our human experience. So this says in verse 14, eyes look but cannot see it. Ears listen but cannot hear it. Hands grasp but cannot touch it. Beyond the senses lie the great unity, invisible, inaudible, intangible. There's more to that verse, but I'm going to leave it right there because you get that point. When you look for it, you can't find it. When you reach for it and grasp, you're not going to put it in your hand. But you have to live it and experience it and stay open to it. Going back to that intention, attention, manifestation. When your intention is to be open to the divine, you will experience it. But you have to set your intention. You have to know that that's your desire to know more deeply. When I went to Unity of the Hill Country to interview, they were like, what are your goals? And I said, well, you might be kind of confused. The last few years has been to expand my capacity to love. And now I'm shifting my focus to joy. And they're like, okay. But that has been my experience because it's my intention. I learned so many things over those several years of having my focus on love, and I believe I showed up more as love. And my intention is still joy combined with love. Where are we? Yes. So this was my moment that I want to tell you about, right? So in chapter 32, or verse 32, the very end of this verse, rivers and streams are born of the ocean. All creation is born of Tao. Just as all water flows back to become the ocean, all creation flows back to become Tao. When I read that, I had this true aha moment. Water is God. Now, you're going to say, yeah, we've heard that. Eric Butterworth used to talk about the ocean and how the wave is still the ocean expressing as an individual wave, but it's still the ocean. Yes, and that's a very true and real way to look at that first two principles, right? The ocean is the ocean, and we're an expression of that in our individual human form. But what it took me to was something we learned in middle school. Think about this. If you're trying to put this who, what, where is God? Water is life force. But water, if it's coming from a river, is a river, but it's still water. It goes into the ocean, and then through evaporation. So we're naming it a vapor, but it's still water in a different form. And then it goes up and it forms a cloud. We name it a cloud, but it's still water. And then it condenses and it comes down in the rainfall, and it's still water. It's still the same thing. Charles Fillmore called it substance. God is substance, source. We cannot live without water, and we cannot live without an understanding of that which we name God. It's the life force that gives us energy, motivation. So if you think about water is God, and God is water, the earth is more than 80% water. Human beings are more than 80% water. Guess what? You are more than 80% God. How does that feel? You're more than 80% God. I like that thought because it's really hard sometimes especially if we've grown up with certain ideas about ourselves, to take in that we're an expression of God. But if you think about God as water and I'm more than 80% of that, then can't you just take that in a little bit better? That of course, I am God. Ooh, I said it out loud. I'm not the only one. You all are also. Every single thing in this room, all the flowers, there's nothing that's not of God. So this was an aha moment for me. And I don't know if you can see that very well back there. Yeah, you see it better on here than over there. But I actually wrote that in my book in that moment. It's like, okay. And I don't know if that's hitting you the way it hit me. But you will have your own aha moments if you are open and you desire to have them. There's no way that it won't come to you in the way that you can take it in, integrate it, and express it in this world. So we're talking about these. I was going to move on, so I will, because God is, that's what we're talking about, and we're the expression. So one last thing I want to share with you. Nope, I'm still not there yet. Sorry. We know in the Bible, Jesus talked about the Father and I are one, and we can't relate with that, right? We talked about the gray-haired guy and the baby Jesus. We can't put those together, the Father and I are one. But what he was trying to explain this is like the time leading up to right before the crucifixion, right? Where they're saying, oh, who are you? They were basically, you think you're such a great Jewish teacher, what do you know? And they were challenging him about his understanding of Jewish law. But what he said was, I can't look at it up there, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, so that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. And that seems so far away, but now thinking about this idea of water, does it help you kind of understand how the Father is in me and I am in the Father? It's the outworking of this truth of you being this divinity in the world that I want you to take in and to know. Because it feels so good. And Isabel and I were talking earlier about how I just sort of followed my guidance to take me to Kerrville, and I followed my guidance to take me closer to family. And I can do that because I feel and I trust the divinity in my life. At this point in my life, I wish I'd always felt this way, but I didn't. I did it all up here, the hard way for so long. That's why prayer and meditation are so important. We can come into our heart. We can come to a greater understanding of these ideas. Oops. Let's go back. Yeah. So I want to tell you really quickly, get out your phones, take a picture, memorize this woman's name. She is a poet, a mystical poet in the same realm of Rumi and Hafiz. You've got to get her poetry. So this is one of her most simple poems that I'm going to close with today. Shalane Harkin she's like 32 years old, but she had that intention and she set it into motion with walking meditation, and these poems began to come to her. But this is a very simple one. I'll share my book with you if you don't have one. Maybe the bookstores can get some. The poem is, "Oh God, In this unyielding world, I want to be supple enough to hold you. We must be supple, changeable, malleable, in the flow enough to understand that whatever we believed yesterday can be left in yesterday. And in this moment, I can know the divinity of each and every one of you, and I can see that reflected back to me. So in Kerrville, I always gave weekly practices. They called it homework. Oh, what's our homework? But we're all about the fifth principle, right? We've got to live it. So what I want you to please consider, I can't make you do it, but your practice this week is to be supple, to be soft, to be yielding, to allow yourself to consider a different point of view, a way of experiencing things, so that you can be and live and know the truth of your own divinity. Thank you.